Hi everyone, this is Emily from Shade Design Studio. Today I'm going to show you how I make my gradation layer style soap from dark to light from the bottom up. And also show you how to apply a cocoa powder thin pencil line in between layers. The reason I like to put the lighter color on the top is that if I do get any soap ash on the top, it's not as visible as when the dark color is on the top. If you want to do this style of soap, I recommend you to choose a fragrance or essential oil blend that is not going to speed up your trace because this will take a lot of time mixing for so many layers. This is actually my second attempt of recording this style of soap, as 2 days ago my first attempt failed because the fragrance oil speed up so fast and rised on me. I was not having enough time to mix the color well and do the layer the way that I wanted. Today's fragrance choice actually behaved very well in soaping. It did not speed up at all, so I might have overcompensated on the water amount that I have to use my stick blender to help speed up the trace a little bit so I can get going on mixing the color. So I'm ready to pour now. What I do is pour the portion of the soap batter out to mix with the titanium dioxide that I prepare ahead of time. This fragrance oil might discolor, and that's why I wanted to use the TD to help out lighten up the color a little bit on the top layer. And this will be set aside for the last stage. Now this is the starting of the gradation layers. I'll get another bucket and come mix with the red color that I already mixed ahead of time. The color choice I chose today is Mellowed Mica that I got from Rainbowberry. But Mellowed Mica to me is a bit too warm and a bit too brown. So what I do is I also mix in a little bit of the neon pink to make it more towards the cool side. Normally when people are doing layers, they will equally divide into however layer bucket and mix the color accordingly and then pour all at the same time. You can call me lazy or whatever, but I just don't like to do it that way. I only use one bucket for the color, and that's about it. So what I do is I mix in the color to get the consistency that I wanted, and I just eyeball the amount. Now I'm ready to pour the first layer. It is a little bit thinner than I would like, but this will still work. So I pour half of what I just mixed and try to even out in the mold. Then I pour in more soap batter that is not colored. After mixing it the second time around, it should lighten up significantly. Because this soap is thinner than I expected, the pouring the second layer is a little tricky because I don't want it to sink down past the first layer or commingle with the first layer. I have to use a spatula to pour really slowly and close to the bottom layer so it can stay on the top instead of going down and sinking in. In this style of soap, I'm not looking for a defined layer line or anything. It can be very arbitrary and random, and I think that's the beauty of it. Doing it this way has a very obvious advantage. meaning that the line of the layer is not straight. But that's okay because I want it to look organic. After you pour about half of the amount that you have in that bucket, then you're done with the second layer. After that, you pour in more uncolored batter of soap and you mix it again. This will be the third layer. And you just layer on top of the second layer again. You can tell that the soap is getting slightly heavier trays, not as thin, so I can go faster. Again, you pour half of what you mix in a bucket. Doing the layer soap, do have to be a little bit more careful not to dirty the side, otherwise the color won't be so defined. Occasionally I have to go in and clean up the edges of the wall of the mold, and then I pour it again. This will be the fourth layer. As you can tell, the color is much lighter than when I started, which is like a deep maroon red. Malone mica is too warm for me. As you can tell, the lighter color red is kind of orangey-ish. Next time, I might have to find another red mica, which is more towards the cool side. And when I lighten it up, it will actually appear to be pink instead of orange or peach. The more I mix, the more air bubble is trapped inside of the soap, so I have to tap the mold against the counter a little bit, just try to get the air bubble out. It appears that the soap is also getting heavier and heavier in trays, and that's why mixing the color is going to trap more air bubble. Now this is the final layer, layer number 5. This is the last layer before I am going to put on the pencil line. Now I'm ready for the pencil line. All I do is I use a small handheld sift and I use dark cocoa powder to create that line. You don't have to worry about the soap top so much. Actually, I prefer the soap top to be a little bit rough and not smooth or evenly surfaced, so you can create an interesting organic shape of line that's not so straight. All I do is take a little spoon or scoop, whatever you have, get some cocoa powder, and just keeps on moving across the soap. Well, you can stop until you think the whole surface is covered with the cocoa powder. Remember to clean up after you have sprinkled your soap top with cocoa powder. Otherwise, this powder is going to migrate into your lightest layer, which you will be putting on top of this cocoa powder. This is the last stage that we have to do. Now we take the soap that we reserve ahead of time, the one that's colored with titanium dioxide. Clean up whatever's left over from your pot into this one too, and mix well again. Soap now is very heavy trace. It's like pudding. So the key point of doing this last step is not to spread the soap on the top like you're spreading the butter, because it might smear where it touches the cocoa powder and destroy the line that you just created. I like to use a spoon or something smaller device, and you just scoop a little bit to fill up various spots until you cover the whole top. Now you can do a textured top. You can use a spoon or you can use a handheld whisk. This time I decided to use a spoon. So you just sort of randomly put indentation on top of your soap with your spoon. This is the time when you can get really obsessed with the perfection and don't know when to stop. And you just keep on doing it and doing it until it's overkilled. So I'm gonna try not to overkill it and stop when I can. At the end, you take a bottle of rubbing alcohol and you spread across the whole tub. This is so you can prevent ash happening. It works most of the time. Sometimes I still get ash, but much better than not spraying it. Especially the texture top, you really don't want a lot of ash on top unless the rustic look is what you're going for. That's it, the end.